If you've survived narcissistic abuse from a partner, from a parent, or from anyone, and you can't explain to yourself why you keep thinking about them, even on days that you remember exactly what they did to you and how they hurt you, then you should know that it's not love that's keeping you stuck to them. It's brain chemistry. A specific, measurable pattern that your brain learned to run on repeat. Once you can actually see it, name it, and observe it happen in real time, the shame that's sitting on the top of your head about all of this starts to lift for you. I'm Leah. I survived narcissistic abuse myself, and I help survivors rebuild their sense of self after it all crashes down. The question that I hear the most in some form or another is, why do I still think about him or her? What's wrong with me that I keep doing that? And the truth is that nothing is wrong with you. There never was. What's happening to you has a name, it has a mechanism, and it has a fix. Let's go through all three of them. It's called trauma bonding. It's not a character flaw in you. It's a predictable neurochemical response to something called intermittent reinforcement. Picture a slot machine in your mind. If it paid out for you every single time that you pull the lever, you will get your reward and walk away. Done. But that's not how slot machines work, and it's also not how a relationship with a narcissist works. The payout is always intentionally designed to be unpredictable. Sometimes you'll pull the lever and you'll get nothing. Sometimes you'll pull the lever and you'll get a small payout. And every so often, just enough to keep you at the machine, you hit something that feels like a jackpot to you. That unpredictability is the mechanism that's keeping you thinking about him or her. Your brain releases dopamine, not when the reward arrives, but while it's anticipating whether or not it will. Uncertainty is what keeps people stuck at slot machines, and uncertainty is what has kept you in the relationship in your mind. So when they cycled between affection and coldness, between attention and the silent treatment, between telling you that they love you and then criticizing you and making you feel like you're nothing, your nervous system wasn't responding to them as a person. It was responding to the pattern of unpredictability the same way that any human nervous system would. You got hooked to them neurologically on the possibility of the good version of them coming back. And that's exactly why the longing that you feel after leaving the relationship has been compared by actual neuroscientists to substance withdrawal. Your brain isn't malfunctioning in any way. There's nothing wrong with you. There never was. It's doing exactly what brains do when they've been trained on an unpredictable reward cycle for months or even for years. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because your brain was doing its job, but it was doing it on the wrong input. And here's where this all stops being a fact about your brain and starts being something you can do to change it and to rebuild. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is built on one principle. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior keep feeding each other in a loop. If you change your thought, you can change what follows. So look at the thought that probably shows up when you're thinking about them. Something like, oh, I must still really love them and have feelings for them. Or maybe it wasn't that bad. Or maybe I made a mistake by leaving. In CBT, that's an automatic thought, a fast, well-worn conclusion that your brain reaches without your choosing it. The brain treats it as a fact. Your body follows. You get an ache in your chest. You get an urge to text them. Don't text them. And you tell yourself it's just to see how they're doing, see if they're okay. But there's a very important distinction here. Okay? All of this, that thought, it's not a fact. It's a symptom. It's part of the dopamine and uncertainty loop translating into your conscious, okay? In a language that your mind can understand, but you're not really missing them. You're just missing the chemical state that they learned how to produce in you. And your brain is doing exactly what brains do, searching for the fastest way back to that state because it thought that it was safe, even though it wasn't. Once you see that thought as a symptom of this loop, instead of real evidence about your feelings or about your character, something very powerful begins to happen. You stop arguing with yourself about whether or not you're over it yet. And you start seeing the pattern for what it really is. It was a craving, and cravings are something that you can work with. Here's what you need to do the next time it happens in your mind, okay? And it might. First step, name it. Name it out loud if you can, and if you can't, name it in your head. This is a loop. This is dopamine and uncertainty talking. This is not love, and it certainly isn't the truth. That sentence will move the experience out of your emotional brain and into your thinking brain, where you actually have a choice. Step 2, check the evidence. The same way that you would for any thought that you didn't fully trust. Ask yourself, what do I really actually know? Not what I feel about how I felt in that relationship on an average day, on an average Tuesday. Not the highlights, not the best parts. The average day. And then you need to write it down and see it in your own writing. Step 3, replace the automatic thought with an accurate one, not a falsely positive one, an accurate one, a real one, something like, my brain is craving a familiar chemical pattern. The craving will pass the same way that everyone will, like for sugar, okay? If I just don't feed it, I don't have to act on a feeling just because it's loud in my head. That's cognitive restructuring. Catch the thought, check it against reality, replace it with something true. It's the most repeatable skill in this entire process, and it gets faster and easier every time that you use it. You may not do it perfectly the first time that you try it. Fine, that's okay. You're building a new pathway right next to one that's been reinforced for years. It may take repetition, but you will get there. If any of this makes you think, oh my gosh, that's exactly what's been happening to me, I built something for you. It's called the CBT Healing Toolkit, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Toolkit, and it's free. It walks you through exactly what I just showed you now, naming the loop, checking the thought, replacing it, and it's in worksheets that you can come back to every time that loop gets loud again in your head. Grab it. There's a link in the description below. And if you want more than a toolkit, if you want an actual person working through this all with you, that's one of the most self-respecting moves that you can make for yourself. I've linked the #1 online cognitive behavioral therapy platform below that I trust. You can work with a licensed therapist, bring the same CBT tools from today, and build them into a real ongoing practice for yourself. And you can do it with someone trained to take you further than any video can. You've survived something built to make you doubt your own sanity, to doubt your own mind. You're here, 8 minutes into this video, asking yourself better questions than you were yesterday. That's for sure, and that's the work. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, you don't have to put up with it. You should never put up with it. Not for one more.